11:30 Pacific, we'll have complete details. I'm Bob Lee.
I'm Chris Berman. Thanks for watching the NASCAR Goodwrench 200. Okay.
ESPN, entering a new decade as the world leader in motorsport coverage, presents Speed World. Season opener, Palm Beach, Florida, the Goodies 300. Early on, it begins with a bang. The spinning Oldsmobile of Brad Teague triggered a 23-car pileup on lap 14. Nearly half the field is destroyed. 19 cars eventually retired. Many Speedway cars totally ruined. Later in the race, Dale Earnhardt holds off the challenge of Greg Sachs and Harry Gant to capture the win here in the richest ever Busch Series event, the Goodies 300. Then 1 week later, the Pontiac Excitement 200 says it all. The Pontiac of Michael Waltrip slips inside of Earnhardt to capture his third ever Busch Series win. There has been a season full of action in just the first two Busch Grand National events. Stand by. Racing at the Rock is next. Today, live at North Carolina Motor Speedway, ESPN presents the Goodwrench 200 Busch Grand National Series event. It has been an overcast day, and the winds are really gusting here at North Carolina Motor Speedway. Showers in the area. They seem to be moving away, but it will be a windy day here for racing. Hello, everyone. I'm Jerry Pudge. Although this is the third stop for the Busch Grand National Series cars, they have been to Daytona, they have been to Richmond. It'll be the first race of the year for many of the competitors. Well, sort of the first race. A lot of them, as you saw in the open, only got to run 14 laps on the speedway at Daytona. They have been burning the midnight oil. Many of the Busch Series regulars who only have a couple of people to work on the cars, and they only have 1 or 2 race cars. They have been working night and day to get their speedway cars rebuilt to come here to Rockingham to run. And Ned Garrett with me. It's been an unusual beginning for the Busch Series Tour. 2 races and 2 Winston Cup regulars have won it.
Well, you would think that it would be a Winston Cup race the way it has come out so far. Dale Earnhardt, for the first time ever, leading the point standings in both the Grand National and Winston Cup Series after 2 events in each of the series. But there's been one man that has been very impressive, and that's Bobby Labonte, who is in 2nd place in the point standings. He had a 6th place finish in the Goodies 300 at Daytona, finished 3rd last week at Richmond. This young man is going to be reckoned with before this year's over, but he's starting way back in the field today, so he certainly has his work cut out for him.
Bobby Labonte, a talented young driver, definitely will keep an eye on him. Well, we saw a Chevrolet win at Daytona. That's for Dale Earnhardt. We saw a Pontiac winning last week at Richmond for Michael Waltrip. There's a Buick on the pole today for Harry Gant. But have you seen a competitive Ford lately? Let's find out as we go down to our pit reporter, Benny Parsons.
Jerry, I found one that was competitive last year. Mark Martin's Ford Thunderbird, the Carolina Ford dealer's Ford. He won a race last year at Bristol, Tennessee at night in August and had about 5 second-place finishes. The car was super competitive. But remember, folks, if you watched us last year on ESPN, you remember this car was hurting down the straightaway. Just did not have enough power down the straightaway. They tried to do something about this winter. Ford came with some new cylinder heads, about 25 more horsepower. Unfortunately, they did not get them to Daytona in time for these cars to run during the Goodies 300 in Daytona. They used them last week in Richmond, but this car hit a barrel full of sand and eliminated itself out of the race. The V6, we don't know if the Fords are going to be competitive because what's 25 horsepower going to do to the bottom end, to the connecting rod, the crankshafts, the pistons, things like that? That's an unknown. Plus, with 25 more horsepower, Bill Davis told me he's got to find out a great deal more about his chassis because they've completely changed their chassis with the extra horsepower. Jerry, we might have a competitive Ford right here.
Indeed we will, Benny Parsons. Mark Martin looking to pick up another win here at North Carolina Motor Speedway. He certainly has been a factor to deal with here over the years. We expect plenty of excitement here today in the Goodwrench 200. We are still drawing the track as you see here at the North Carolina Motor Speedway. Today's Speed World coverage is brought to you by Quaker State. The Big Q is One Tough Motor Oil. By Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? And by Goodyear Eagle Radials, the best-selling performance radials in the world. We'll be back with a look at the starting lineup. A field of 41 cars set for the green flag here at the Rock. We welcome you back to the North Carolina Motor Speedway here in Rockingham, North Carolina. today's Goodwrench 200. We are still drawing the track here at North Carolina Motor Speedway. It's an overcast day. You see all the safety crews are on there trying to draw the track down. Hoping to get this race underway momentarily. Let's take a look at the Sears Die-Hard starting grid. On the front row, the veteran 50-year-old Harry Gann, along with the youngster Michael Waltrip, fresh in the win a week ago. Row 2, Kyle Petty driving a car that should be very competitive today, and veteran Busch Series driver Brad T. Row 3, there's the Ford of Martin Martin you saw Benny Parsons talking about earlier, and Ernie Irvin with a very competitive Busch Series car had a great run at Daytona. Back to row 4, the two-time series champion of the old late model Sportsman Series, L.D. Ottinger, and a two-time most popular driver, Jimmy Hensley. Rick Mass coming off a couple of Winston Cup runs last year. Outstanding run for him. He's back in a Busch car, as is Dale Jarrett, now back full-time with Busch Series Racing. Dale Earnhardt, the man who was so tough at Daytona, starts back inside row 6, and alongside him, Kenny Schrader, another Winston Cup regular. Patty Moise could become the first woman to run the full Busch Tour this year. She starts inside row 7, and a young driver running for Rookie of the Year, Ron Lamell Jr., is outside. Row 8, Chuck Bound, former Winston West Series champion, and a guy who moved down from the modified ranks, Dave Resendez. Back to row 9, young driver, a very talented young man, Jeff Burton, driving for Sam Ard in the car number 12, and the 1988 Series champion, Tommy Ellis. Back in row 10, young Clifford Allison, the youngest of Bobby Allison's sons. Clifford, of course, the younger brother of Davey, will be inside row 10. And Ed Barrier, a veteran driver from Busch Series, will start in 20th spot. Let's take a look at the rest of the field. Back in 11th spot, Kenny Wallace. 11th row, Kenny Wallace and Bobby Labonte. Back in row 12, Ben Hess and Bobby Hamilton. Scheduled for row 13, the 5-time national champion, Jack Ingram, along with rookie contender Dana Patton. Row 14, another Ford for Ronald Cooper and Bobby Donner. 15th row, Kurt Bryant and Tom Peck. Tom Peck, an outstanding qualifying effort at Daytona for this young McConnellsburg, Pennsylvania driver. He'll be the guy to watch early on. And back in row 16, Randy Baker and Ward Burton. Finishing out the field, row 17, Tommy Houston, veteran driver, and Robert Presley, who's a guy to watch early on this year, picked up his first win last year in the rookie season. Davey Johnson, another rookie competitor, back in the 18th row. And the only other Ford in the field, 3 Fords total, that's Randy LaJoy in the car number 71. Row 19, Steve Grissom in the car number 31, and Randy McDonald. While row 20 sees Elton Sawyer driving the car number 27, and two-time Busch Grand National North Series champion Jamie Albee. Finishing out the field, young rookie driver Jeff Spraker in the car number 69. Let's take a look at the track description here at North Carolina Motor Speedway. It's a 1.017-mile dogleg oval, Ned Jarrett, and quite a tough racetrack here.
Yes, it is. It's a tough racetrack to set up for, Jerry, and the fact that we've had rain here since these cars were on the track yesterday for practice could make a difference in how some of them have their cars set up. It's much cooler than they anticipated. The forecast was for it to be maybe in the 60s here this afternoon. That makes the racetrack get a lot slicker. Well, now it's much cooler than that, and we've had the rain, so it could make a difference in chassis setup.
A lot of drivers concerned about the chassis setup, and we'll keep you on board today with Kyle Petty in the Ames race cam inside the Ames in-car Pontiac there for Kyle Petty. Kyle scheduled to start third on the field as he is, Kyle Petty is trying to get a good run today. They had a good run going at Richmond qualifying on the front row a week or so ago, and they had a screw come out of the carburetor, lost all the fuel through the carburetor. They thought the engine had blown, and they parked the car. It's the same engine and the same race car that ran a week ago in that Ames Pontiac. We'll keep an eye from the in-car camera all day long here on Kyle Petty's performance. Let's go down trackside and check with Benny Parsons, who's keeping us abreast of a story that broke yesterday. Young driver Davey Allison had his troubles, ended up being flown to a hospital care center in Charlotte, and now Davey just arrived back to the track. Let's get a status report here with Benny Parsons. Benny?
Davey Allison, you look okay.
Benny, I feel great. The main reason we went to Charlotte Memorial last night was on my account. I felt like we needed to go find out what actually caused what occurred. And, they just asked here that I go get some blood work done, and I didn't feel comfortable with that. So we went over there and we went through a real rigorous test schedule last night. They did a whole bunch of electronic tests on me, and everything looks good. CAT scan's good. Everything is perfect. They just said that they feel better if I take the green and let Hutt drive, so that's what we're planning on doing.
You tell the fans exactly what did happen.
Well, Max Bennett and I, one of the guys on the crew, were wrestling around in the trailer during the rain because we didn't have anything else to do at that time. And apparently what happened while we were straining around there, gouging on each other, I got my heart rate slowed down, and when I stood up and walked out of the trailer to the restroom, all the blood had run down, and the lack of oxygen supply is what made me black out. That's the simplest way to explain it.
But you will start the race tomorrow, and the first opportunity, caution flag or what have you, Hut Strickland will finish the race.
Well, I begged for the doctors to let me run to the first caution, and they said, no way, you can take the green and get out, and Hut can drive it. They don't feel like anything's wrong, but they don't want to take any chances. They want to give me a couple of days to rest. And we're going to test Wednesday at Atlanta. Dr. Putnam wants me to call him Wednesday night, and from there we'll be all set.
You know, what's the deal? I'm the guy that does the hat of the week. What are you trying to do, steal my thunder with your hat?
Well, this was a Christmas present from my youngest sister's boyfriend, and I really like it, so I'm just going to wear it.
Okay, Jerry, he looks okay to me.
Indeed he does, Benny. I talked to him last night. He was in the hospital at Charlotte Memorial Hospital, and I talked to him by phone for a little while. These people had called me and said, Dave, you wanted to chat, and we called a little bit. And he's pretty disappointed by not being able to run the full race tomorrow, but it's a wise move. Dr. Petty and Dr. Putnam there at Charlotte Memorial Hospital wanting to keep the young driver out. He will get to run the one lap and one lap only, come in after the green flag is waved, climb out of the car, and a fellow Alabamian from Calera, Alabama, Hut Strickland, will climb in that car, number 28, and race it tomorrow. We're still drawing the track here at North Carolina Motor Speedway, hoping to get underway very shortly with the Goodwrench 200. Stand by. We'll be back in just a moment. Well, the balloons have been released here over North Carolina Motor Speedway as we have now fired the cars on pit road, 41 strong. Some of the best short track and speedway drivers in the country here will come to bear for the Goodwrench 200 Busch Grand National Series event. Race number 3, approximately 31 race tour worth $4 million. The cars are running down pit road, and they are clearing the crews away from the cars. The Pontiac safety car there waiting to pull the field away. Let's go back down to our pit reporter, Benny Parsons.
Jerry Bunch, you've worked in the pits, and you've showed the fans just a stack of tires that the Winston Cup cars have. I'm in Kenny Wallace's pits today. He has 2 sets of tires laying in the pits. He has a set on the car. Dale Earnhardt told us just a moment ago that the rain is going to make the tires wear more than ever. Kenny Wallace only has 3 sets, and that's the case for most cars. 2 or 3 sets of tires. If the tires wear considerably, these guys could be in trouble on tires.
Well, they have a tire rule here in Busch Grand National competition. It's not only here. They are only allowed to change 2 tires during any caution period. Now, if they make a green flag pit stop, they can change as many tires as they want to. But most of the drivers would hope to only make 1 pit stop here today, or perhaps a change of right side tires and a tank of fuel.
You're seeing on the other side of the fence, all those tires stacked up there inside the garage area are Winston Cup tires. Those are the radial tires that you'll be seeing run tomorrow here in the Winston Cup event. On the inside, you can hardly see a few tires sputtering up and down pit road being laid behind the wall. That's all the bias ply tires that the Busch Series drivers will have. We will have 5 laps as they signal the cars now to begin moving down pit road to dry the track off. We'll have 5 laps with the field now rolling down pit road. Harry Gant trying to pick up where he left off last October, having won here in the Ed Whitaker on Buick. This is a brand new race car, Ed, for Harry Gant. It's the same car that he ran at Daytona with for the Goodies 300. He started back in the field there and looked to have a shot at winning it there with a couple laps to go.
Yes, it is. As a matter of fact, as he came off of turn 2, he made a run at Dale Earnhardt and hoped to draft past him as he came for the checkered flag, but he got locked in behind some traffic and just ran out of time and did finish a close second to Dale Earnhardt down there. I think we need to correct you, Jerry. I believe Rob Moroso won both Busch Grand National races here at North Carolina Motor Speedway last year. Harry Gant had both of them almost won, but he had well, let's see, we are showing that Harry Gant won the fall race according to the publicity here at the North Carolina Motor Speedway, but I had in my mind that Moroso had won both of them. But anyway, he always runs strong on this racetrack, and every time they come here, they consider him to be the man to beat, and especially with him starting on the pole.
One driver we're going to watch today is Kyle Petty. We're inside the Ames Department Store race cam inside his Pontiac. We'll take a look at the face cam and get a look at Kyle sitting in the car there just relaxed and watching the pace cars and the cars in front of him. He will start in 3rd spot right behind here again. And, of course, it's important. This is pretty much a one-groove racetrack early on, and particularly with some of the faster cars in the game will get the move. And if Kyle can follow Harry, who should be the rabbit early on, he should have a good shot at staying up front during the early laps.
Yeah, I agree with him. That groove is down on the inside as they go through the turns. Now, usually we see the groove move up a little bit after they've run a while, but after the rain, I think we'll see them stay down there a little longer today. than in the past. Let me correct myself. Rob Moroso won both races at Charlotte last year, not here at North Carolina Motor Speedway. He was leading this race and got penalized and fell back in the field. And so I apologize, fans, for my mistake.
We call it the Busch Grand National Tour. We could call it the Brother Grand National Tour. You're taking a look at two younger brothers of Winston Cup regulars. The car number 36 is Kenny Wallace, a defending Rookie of the Year for the Busch Series. And the car number 44, having run so well in the first two events, that is Bobby Labonte, younger brother of 1984 Winston Cup champion Terry Labonte. Those cars starting back in 21st and 22nd spot, and we'll keep an eye on both those young drivers as they make their way to the front. Bobby Scruggs now signifying with the two hands and palms coming together to close the field up. Bobby Scruggs on the flag stand, having the field close up a little bit. He and Pete Babb, the assistant flagman, will be watching the race as we're getting ready for the green flag here at North Carolina Motor Speedway. Coming up next, the early laps of the Goodwrench 200. Stand by. We'll be back in just a moment. Back at North Carolina Motor Speedway, the Pontiac safety car has picked up the pace a little bit, trying to get the field to come possibly about 75 to 80 miles per hour, trying to get a little bit of heat into the racetrack. As you see, the crews getting ready there, checking those air ridges on pit road. Remember now, in the pits here, as Ned mentioned earlier, for the pit stops, you're allowed only 2 tires to be changed. You use 1 jack only, 5 men across the wall, plus 1 catch can man. And the crew is now getting themselves limbered up on pit road, and the field now trying to get the track right. So a little bit of moisture down on the very bottom of the racetrack. That is not in the racing group whatsoever, Ned.
But as they entered the first turn, there was a little bit of dampness in the racing groove, and boy, that's where you really need the traction. So they want to be sure that, at least in the racing groove, that there is no dampness, because these slick tires will not adhere to wet pavement.
Take a look at the Unical gas cans. Remember, with the V6 motors here and the 390 carburetors, they get excellent gas mileage. In fact, for a 197-lap race, you saw earlier on our graphic, these guys can go probably 110 to maybe even 130 miles on a tank of fuel.
Well, especially if you're Harry Gant. He has gone as much as 125, 130 miles. He gives extremely good gas mileage on his car, and wouldn't surprise us if the situation warrants it today to see him going that far.
Looks like a Hollywood dressing room down there. Everyone getting prepared to do their special servicing event. There are specialists on every team. There's a tire specialist, a gas man, a guy who's a chassis expert, the crew chief, the tire changers. They all have their own paraphernalia to get prepared for. They're all getting dressed and getting cinched up, ready to begin here in the Goodwrench 200. When they come by this time, it'll be 3 laps to green. The drivers now are being shown each time by. They'll show a showing of fingers from the flagman Bobby Scruggs. He held up 5 fingers a moment ago, showing 5 laps. This time he holds up 3 fingers as they come by. There is Bobby Scruggs and Keith Babb on the flag stand, showing 3 fingers. He's asking the drivers, is it okay?
A Sports Center special report. Welcoming into Sports Center, I'm Bob Lee. Don Fear live now at the Helmsley Palace in New York City as the meetings have broken. Let's join the press briefing.
Until very recently, until we left to come over here. Thank you.
The latest yet in the lockout talks of 1990. I'm Bob Lee. We'll step aside, back to the Goodwrench 200, and again back to New York City as Advance Warrant. We continue the coverage of the lockout of spring training 1990. A Sports Center special report.
Ellis showing an outstanding effort here at Rockingham, and the car number 12, that is Jet Burton, young driver, 22 years of age, up in Virginia, driving the Sam Martin car.
And the car number 98, Randall Lamell, a rookie in this division, doing a great job. Look at him move on the inside of the veteran Rick Mast and move right around as Mast goes high. There's some sheet metal damage to the right side of Mast's car, so he's already tangled with someone, but a big pack of cars running there. Here comes Tommy Ellis trying to move up on Rick Mast. Ellis found something wrong yesterday. He was not pleased at all with his qualifying, but they did check the distributor and found something was wrong in there. They changed it, so hopefully they will pick him up.
Ron Lamell Jr., the car number 98, now getting a bid inside from Dave Resendez. These guys have raced before. Resendez is one of the former New England modified competitors. He now makes a move inside. Dave Resendez had a new crew chief this year on that car. Darrell Bryant, formerly a Winston Cup crew chief, now helping Resendez, and making a move inside is Jeff Burton. Now the ill-handling car of Rick Mast, that's the white blue numeral car number 22 of Mast on the outside. And the young 22-year-old driver, Jeff Burton, trying to make his move inside. Now, Burton, that car he is driving is owned by Sam Ard, a former two-time Busch Series champion, and Ard has won here in the past at the North Carolina Motor Speedway in Busch competition.
Certainly knows how to set a race car up for this racetrack. As we see, Tommy Ellis has moved around the male car, number 98. So Ellis is on the move towards the front.
I'll show you back up with the leaders. Kyle Petty now pulling away to about a 7-car separation between himself and Harry Gant. Kyle Petty's car, we might mention, his crew chief is Jerry Kennan. Now, that name's familiar to a lot of people who are familiar with Busch Series racing. Jerry Kennan was the crew chief for Sam Ard for many years when Ard became a two-time series champion.
Well, those two cars have a pretty good lead over Michael Waltrip, who is running third. And not too far behind Michael Waltrip is Mark Martin, and Dale Jarrett has now caught Mark Martin, so it'll be a battle for fourth here very shortly.
16 laps. They're here in the Goodwrench 200 as Kyle Petty now showing his way. Here's Patty Moise making an unscheduled stop on the pit road, and apparently they will go to work on the right side of her car. Mike Laughlin, who owns that car, and the crew now going to work on her Buick, and they will change right side tires, possibly a tire going down. Patty Moise having troubles early here at Rockingham. We're in the early laps here on the Goodwrench 200. Kyle Petty is one tough motor oil.
You know, a lot of Winston Cup drivers run the Saturday race, the Busch Grand National race, or the support race for one reason, not the money, but to learn something about the racetrack that will carry over to Sunday's Winston Cup event. But this weekend, Goodyear has really thrown a monkey wrench into the deal, because Saturday on the Busch Grand National cars, they're using a bias ply tire. Sunday on the Winston Cup cars, they're using radial tire. These guys are in a quandary because what they learn on Saturday, they can't use on Sunday. They got to throw it out the window.
It's really as different as night and day, but when it comes to racing, racing's racing, no matter what kind of cars you got or what kind of tires you're on. And, you know, it's a totally different field, but the racetrack characteristics are the same with a radial or with a bias ply. You know, it's like running dirt. You run tacky dirt or you run slick dirt, you know what the track's going to do. You know what it's going to be 15 laps from now.
We're not real sure if we're going to learn anything or not, but it can't hurt the race.
The time on the track, the groove you run and everything's the same as you got to run on the radials, and I think it'll help us. It always seems to get some of the edge off for Sunday.
Well, Dale Earnhardt should know that because a week ago, after the Busch Series race, he got into a Winston Cup car, had the radials on, and spun the car and tagged the wall. As you look at the top 10 here in the Goodwrench 200, Kenny Wallace now being shown as the leader here in the second caution flag. Here again, Kyle Petty, Dale Jarrett, and Dale Earnhardt. 77 of the 197 laps completed. The next five, Mark Martin, Schrader, in 6th and 7th spot, as you see the top 10 there here at North Carolina Motor Speedway. Now, that's pretty true. Last week at Richmond, we mentioned the fact that Earnhardt had been on the bias ply tire for the Busch Series race, got back in the Winston Cup car with the radial that takes a little while to heat up and had trouble.
It did. The first lap out, the first full speed lap out, he got into the wall, had to go to a backup car and start in the rear of the field. So there is a definite different feel of the two tires. And as Benny says, you don't learn quite as much as you used to when you were running the same type of tire.
Pontiac safety car, you're taking a look at the field now coming through turns 3 and 4. You're inside with Kyle Petty, who has been the dominant car here for most of the day. 2 caution flags here today. One, of course, the Ward Burton car spinning. And just recently, this caution flag being brought out by the spinning car of Randy McDonald down in turn 3.
Okay, we're going one more lap, Jerry. They had given the one lap signal the time before, but the lights didn't go off on the pace car. So now we're getting one more lap before we go back to green. There are currently 11 cars in the lead lap, with Kenny Wallace leading, Harry Gant second, Kyle Petty third, Dale Jarrett fourth, Dale Earnhardt fifth, Mark Martin sixth, Kenny Schrader seventh, Ernie Irvin eighth, Tommy Ellis ninth, Bobby Hamilton 10th, and Tommy Houston 11th.
And remember, a lot of action here tomorrow on ESPN at 12 noon. The Goodwrench 500. They're coming your way live from North Carolina Motor Speedway at noon. Bob Jenkins, myself, Ned Jarrett, Benny Parsons, and Dick Berggren will be on hand to bring you all the lap-by-lap action. 492 laps of Winston Cup action tomorrow here at 12 noon on ESPN for the Goodwrench 500. We're getting ready to go to green back here for the Goodwrench 200, the Busch Grand National Series event here for the afternoon. 79 laps complete. Will be 80 this time by. 197 will complete it this afternoon. We are less than halfway home, and Kenny Wallace, the young defending Rookie of the Year on the Busch Series Tour, will lead him down the green flag from Bobby Scruggs. Wallace will try to hold off here on lap 80, the charge of Harry Gant. sweeping now through turns 1 and 2. Again is on the move. There's one car now slowing down the back. That is Patty Moise's Buick, who's creeping along the inside of the back straightaway. He is now out of the racing group, but the youngster Wallace now trying to hold off Harry Gant.
Two green cars battling for the lead. Gant gets the advantage as they head into turn 1.
Now Kyle Petty seeing he has a mirror full, or actually a windshield full, of that Cox car of Kenny Wallace, car number 36.
And the yellow flag is out. Patty Moise apparently didn't make it back to the pits on the back stretch, so the yellow flag waves once again as Harry Gant brings it down the back stretch.
Harry Gant taking no chances here that he would allow any cars to get back around him and catch up a lap. Gant showing as the leader here. Patty Moise, who has been running a limited schedule here in Busch Series competition since 1986, former road racer, had an outstanding career in the IMSA ranks, the International Motorsports Association ranks, along the road courses, and decided this year she was going to run a full series on the Busch Tour, become the first woman to run the full tour here in Busch Series racing. Let's check in on pit road with Benny Parsons. Benny?
Jerry, about 85 laps been run. Can you go the rest of the way on fuel?
It's going to be real close. The gas guy's figuring it right now. If it comes down to it, we'll chance it.
What about, is the tires, everything looks to be okay on Kyle's car?
Yeah, the tires look real good. We took them off, and they still had 4:30 seconds on them. I think just stickers run so much faster. They don't really slow down that much. It's just that they get hot and get greasy.
A lot of guys have been making adjustments on their cars on the pit stops. Have you had to adjust your car?
I hadn't had to do a thing to it, just change tires.
Okay, good luck.
Thanks.
That was Jerry Kennan, who is the 32-year-old crew chief for the current Kyle Petty machine. Of course, Jerry Kennan, back in his early days, he's only 32 now, but back when he was about 22 years old, he was the crew chief for Sam Ard. He was such a scourge of the short track here in the Southeast and went on to win, we said, 2 national championships and an event here at North Carolina Motor Speedway. They seem to have their car dialed in for these final laps. This final laps here winding down toward the halfway point, actually, as Harry Gant showing the way in turn 3.
And Kenny Wallace running in second place. Kyle Petty third, Dale Jarrett fourth, and Dale Earnhardt fifth. Mark Martin in sixth place. You're going to see us scrambling. Green flag ready to wait.
Green flag waving, and Harry Gant will pull away. Now Kyle Petty realizes he can't wait for a long time or Harry will get gone. Kyle needs to get around the Kenny Wallace machine. He's got to be very careful not to use up his tires or his race car in doing it. Now you see Kenny Wallace's car in front of the Ames department store Pontiac for Kyle Petty. That is Kenny Wallace's car to the outside. The orange car in front, that's the Bobby Labonte machine. The car being shown around now.
Seems to be running in the front position as Kyle Petty takes the measure of Kenny Wallace. Here comes Dale Jarrett down on the inside. Now remember, the 36 car didn't stop and change those left side tires where that might be making the difference. His car just won't stay down on the inside of the racetrack.
As Dale Earnhardt now shuffles Kenny Wallace back in position even more.
That moved him back to fifth.
There is Harry Gant now, some 7 car lengths on the lap car of Bobby Labonte, who's holding his own right now. Young Labonte getting that car down a little bit. Here's the cars out of the race. Jeff Spraker, the young driver who's moved down from the New England area, and Patty Moise, the most recent caution her car stalling in the backstretch. Now, Harry Gant gets excellent gas mileage in the car. In fact, we talked to him earlier today. Chris Carrier was down there, and I went down and talked to him. They thought they could go about 125 miles. They weren't really sure, though. Let's find out with Penny Parsons, who's standing by in the Harry Gant pit.
Chris Carrier, crew chief, can you go the rest of the way on fuel?
I really didn't hear what you said.
Can you go the rest of the way on fuel?
It'll be awful close. I got a feeling we'll probably end up stopping anyway before the end of the race. So the racetrack, the way it is real green after the rain. It washed all the rubber off last night. The tires are going away pretty quick. We got a good tire down here for a real green racetrack. It's like sandpaper out there. The times are falling off. We put 4 tires on the last 2 pit stops, picked up second and a half.
Okay, Jerry, thanks. Wow, that's quite a difference, Jerry. Just putting on new tires, picking up a second and a half. I didn't realize that they had slowed that much because it looked like they were going at a real good clip before they put on those new tires, but they were really running fast now.
Tommy Houston, remember, got his lap back, and he is in the car that we've been watching here make his way back up to the field. Heavy traffic now at a turn 4. That is a car number 12. Good run for Jeff Burton, the South Boston, Virginia driver, a young man who had a 3rd place finish last year at Martinsville, Virginia. Driving for Sam R., the veteran driver who now retired and has become a car owner. There is Tom Peck in the car number 96 from McConnellsburg, Pennsylvania. Cut his teeth on some of the short tracks up there in Pennsylvania. He ran last year here on the full floor for the Busch Series. That's a pretty good run.
Dave Resendez in the car number 79. Let's take a look at him as he goes into the turn. He gets tapped just a little bit. You can see the smoke as those two cars got together. The Jeff Burton car number 12, but Resendez gets it back under control.
Meanwhile, Kyle Petty has gone around Harry Gant to take the lead here in the Goodwrench 200, and Gant will be content to show you to sit in second spot right now as Kyle Petty being shown. We'll show you what happened there in turn 3.
Similar to what happened earlier, Jerry, when he passed Harry Gant. Gant's car got a little bit loose coming up off of turn 2. Kyle Petty stayed down on the inside and was able to move on going into turn 3 and take the lead.
Kyle Petty now showing about a car length over Harry Gant. Petty's Pontiac is there. Gant is next. Third place car, about 4 car lengths back. That is the Dale Jarrett machine just coming into your picture. Good battle back in the pack between Tommy Ellis and the car number 75 of Brad Teague. And car number 6 of Tommy Houston that got his lap back a minute ago. His car really not handling all that well. Tommy now trying to get his way back up to the pack, moving to the outside of the Chuck Bound car.
He's running right now they're showing in 10th position, Jerry. Still, of course, on the lead lap, as you mentioned. And the car number 75, Brad Teague, the black car there, did lose a couple of laps in the pits.
They call Tommy Mr. Consistency. Tommy Houston we're talking about. He has started all 239 Busch Series races since the series began 9 years ago. It's a family affair for the Houston clan. Tommy, of course, the driver, and his sons, Scott, Marty, and Andy, the 3 sons, are the crew members of the car. Just ahead of Tommy Houston, there's the battle. Leonard Hamilton in the car number 8, and Ernie Irvin in the car number 58.
And you can see Kenny Wallace there. He has dropped all the way back. He's currently now running in about the 8th position. Was leading this race when the green flag came out after the 1 caution, then dropped back to 2nd, but now is really dropping back. Bobby Hamilton about to pass it for another position. Here comes Ernie Irvin, car number 58. They are battling for position. That's for the 8th, 9th, and 10th position.
Bobby Hamilton showing a lot of speedway savvy now, taking this car on the bottom of the racetrack. This is car number 8. He's been a 3-time short track champion up at Nashville, Tennessee.
Now Tommy Houston joins in the fray of that battle. Houston's car maybe wasn't a little bit better than it was a moment ago. He's going on the inside of Kenny Wallace. I think it was a mistake that Wallace didn't come in and take on left side tires when the other drivers did. That might work to his advantage if there's a caution later on.
Let's check in to see what kind of adjustments they made on Tommy Houston's car. Benny Parsons is standing by in their pit. Benny?
Yes, Jerry, I'm with the boy that's the crew chief, Scott. What did you do on that pit stop, Scott?
Well, we just put new tires back on, and he said the car was a little loose, and we let the leaders get away from it. We did some adjusting past 2 days. I think we got it pretty close.
Is he running about as fast as the leader now?
Right now, he's running a tenth slower than what the leaders did, but he's a traffic.
But he's a traffic. So if you get up there, you think you got a shot at this thing, right?
We'll see.
Very talented young man, 24-year-old Scott Houston. As Tommy Houston now, 1990 results, he has finished 38th at Daytona, 12th at Richmond. And here are the leaders now beginning to heat it up a little bit as Harry Gant trying to take the lead away back in turn 1. Kyle Petty will slam the door.
Kyle using the low groove, just didn't give Harry any racing room down there, but Harry has, since Kyle moved around him, has stayed right there on him. Dale Jarrett beginning to creep up a little bit, and Earnhardt staying closer to the leaders. He's running 4th behind Jarrett, so he's staying closer to them than he did before, so I'm sure they made some adjustments on his Goodwrench Chevrolet.
Almost looks like Harry Gant is having to really struggle with his car a little bit in the turns, and Kyle just turns his car left, hugs the bottom groove of the racetrack, gets up about a half a car length, and Gant gets up about another half a car length or so.
They're getting the halfway mark now, so this race will be official as the sun is shining here at the North Carolina Motor Speedway.
99 laps complete, 197 will comprise this Goodwrench 200. Over $99,000 up for grabs today in this Busch Series event. Harry Gant just 2 car lengths back, and you see now about 4 car lengths behind Gant was the car of Dale Jarrett.
And trouble over in turn 2.
That's Clifford Allison who has spun his car. Traffic now trying to get by. That's the CC Racing Waltney Meats car, the Buick of Clifford Allison, 26-year-old driver from Ewingtown, Alabama. He gets the car right. There's a look at Clifford. impressive young driver who cut his teeth in the short tracks around Montgomery and Birmingham, getting some speedway experience.
Now, Jerry, it'd be interesting to see if they were questioning whether they go the rest of the way on fuel. Let's see if they come in and top the things off, because they definitely can go the rest of the way for fuel.
I would be surprised if the leaders did not come in and at least take advantage of the yellow flag for tires. Tires so critical here. We've already heard from Benny Parsons about how fresh rubber can mean a second a lap here at Rockingham. Let's take a look at what happened to Clifford Alverson up out of turn 2. Young driver now trying to get his car through turn. The car already broad sliding on the apron.
Bob Lee back at Sports Center with a special report. We continue our live coverage of the press briefings after a 6.5-hour negotiating session in New York City.
We hope you're enjoying the abbreviated version here of the Goodwrench 200. We now move ahead to later laps in the event. Now shuffles them off in turn 1. And here again now trying to fall in behind the Dale Earnhardt car. But it's been a Pontiac for 8 up front. Dale Jarrett and Kyle Petty, two of the strongest cars all afternoon. Neither of those cars haven't made a pit stop. And we'll see if the fresh rubber from Earnhardt, as now Earnhardt makes a move inside turn 3, as he is trying to reel in the lead car.
Yeah, Kyle Petty was coming up on Dale Jarrett before this caution came out, so those two cars have shown a lot of strength. Of course, Jarrett leading, Kyle Petty second, Harry in third, fourth is Earnhardt, fifth is Kenny Wallace, and sixth place is Ernie Irvin. He did not lose a lap. Tommy Ellis in seventh place. Those 7 cars in the lead lap.
No doubt that Kyle Petty has one of the strongest cars in the field, but Earnhardt's car on the very bottom of the racetrack. If you see Earnhardt now coming out of turn 4, you got a glimpse of Kyle Petty's view, and he's trying to reel in the Dale Jarrett machine. Dale Earnhardt getting that car dialed in exactly what you want to do. What you don't want to have happen is allow Earnhardt to make a late pit stop and get the car adjusted for that final bonsai run with the checkered flag, which is what exactly happened for the Tony Eury crew in the car number 3. Here again, languishing back in the field. His car seems to be running a little bit better, moving inside of a car. There out of turn 3. There is here again the car number 7. The Skoll Bandit Buick. Two-time winner here at North Carolina Motor Speedway. Behind him is the Kenny Wallace car.
Wallace running in the 5th place. Gant running 4th now. And Tommy Ellis running 6th.
Again, getting around the Dana Patton machine. Dana Patton, one of the rookie contenders this year in the Busch Series.
Now Earnhardt has moved right up on Kyle Petty as we see this battle back here as Kenny Wallace moves on the inside of Dana Patton.
Back up front, Dale Jarrett showing the way, but the battle really heating up for second spot. Now it's Dale Earnhardt's car beginning to drift a little bit. Remember those tires, the new tires are only good for about a handful of 6 or 7 laps. And then again, they go away, so Earnhardt having to take advantage of the tires while he has them.
And boy, Kyle gave him a lot of running room there. Just moved, stayed down on the inside and let Earnhardt have that outside groove. Kyle could have slid up in front of him coming off of turn 2, but he didn't do it. And that gave Earnhardt the room that he needed to take over the second place.
15 laps to go here at North Carolina Motor Speedway. Dale Jarrett trying, struggling to hang on to the lead here in his Pontiac. Earnhardt's car wagging the tail a little bit coming out of turn 2. That car number 3, the Goodwrench Chevrolet, holding a 2-car advantage over Kyle Petty.
Now Earnhardt has driven that car awfully hard, Jerry. Don't take too long to get those tires heated up once you come back out there, and certainly he has driven it to the maximum since he came back out. It'll be interesting to see how long it does take to get him heated up to where he doesn't have the advantage of the new tires.
North Carolina Motor Speedway has been a very good racetrack for Dale Jarrett. He has finished here 3rd, 4th, 5th a couple of times. He has had a number of finishes in the top 10. He is a young man who drives the track very, very well. And there you see the viewpoint from Kyle Petty. Kyle hearing back in the throttle now, coming out of turn. He's having to feather the throttle a little bit. The car not handling like he would like it.
No, it's not. It's not staying down there like it did earlier. Dale Jarrett needs a win, Jerry. He doesn't have a Winston Cup ride right now. He just sort of got lost in the shuffle during the winter, and his spirits have been down a little bit, even though this Busch car has run good in all 3 races that he has run it in. But he needs a win. I think that would be a big boost for him and the team. He has some things working in Winston Cup, but nothing definite.
They have talked to him about a couple of Winston Cup rides, but what about his Busch status? He's currently 3rd in the points. If he were to win here, he could probably move up a little bit in the points standings. Would he run the full tour?
Well, there's a very good possibility that he will. The National people have told him that they would fund the effort if he decided to run the full tour and try to win the championship. And it looks like he is going to move into 2nd in the point standings today if he can stay where he is up there right now. And certainly Earnhardt is not going to run all the races. Earnhardt should maintain the point lead today, but he probably won't run at Martinsville where these cars go next weekend. So that would give Jarrett a good shot then to maybe move on into the lead in the point.
It'll be 10 laps to go. Next time by is Dale Earnhardt's car going very high in turn one. Earnhardt nearly tagging the wall. The car just getting away a little bit. And that gave a car length or two advantage to Dale Jarrett. Jarrett now about an 8 car length separation between himself and the challenging Chevrolet of Dale Earnhardt.
Well, Earnhardt has been getting very good momentum when he goes high and comes off of the turn. It really shoots him down the straightaway, so it might be that he's just driving that car that way. Yeah, he's driving that car up there, Jerry. It's not sliding up there. He gets good momentum, keeps the RPMs of the engine up, so he's getting good momentum off the turn. In fact, he's gaining a little bit right now, Jarrett, with that move. He's found himself something there that's working a little bit better for him.
Margin shrinking a little bit between the lead cars. 7 car length separation between Dale Jarrett and Dale Earnhardt. Laps remaining here at North Carolina Motor Speedway. The battle up front now is Dale Earnhardt slides very, very high. He is chasing the leader, Dale Jarrett. Jarrett in the Nestle's front Pontiac. At the North Carolina Motor Speedway, 7 laps to the conclusion of the Goodwrench 200, and Dale Jarrett trying to hang on to the lead here. The Nestle's front Pontiac, 2 car length separation between the car number 32. That's your leader, Dale Jarrett, and the closing rapidly Chevrolet Lumina up Dale Earnhardt. Meanwhile, back from 5 or 6 car lengths is the car number 42 of Kyle Petty. Here is the 5th, 6th, and 7th place cars. Of course, the car number 36, that is the 4th place car, rather, of Kenny Wallace. Then Harry Gant is in 5th, and Mark Martin challenging back there also for position.
Mark Martin is a lap down. He made an unscheduled pit stop earlier for a flat tire. Earnhardt taking the high groove out of turn 2. Jarrett staying down on the low side of the racetrack.
It'll be 5 laps to go this time by. 3 car lengths separating the front 2 cars. Earnhardt has been using the outside groove. We widen down. You see Kyle Petty to the far right of your screen, the red car with the white numbers. Earnhardt now down on the bottom of the racetrack trying to make a move, and Jarrett will hold him off. It will be 5 to go now, this time by. Dale Jarrett, who came so close at Daytona, and Earnhardt driving way up on the outside of the racetrack, trying to keep that momentum up in the top groove.
Yeah, and it didn't work for him that time. Jarrett's car is working better off the turn 2 than Earnhardt's is, but right here is where Earnhardt is beating him. See how much he closes in on him as he comes off of turn 4. Jarrett's car seems to be pushing up the track a little bit as he comes off of there. Earnhardt picks up on him, but was not able to move up the side.
4 laps to go now, just about 15 laps ago. Earnhardt made a pit stop under the caution flag and changed tires. Dale Jarrett did not. He elected to stay out. The fresh rubber may be showing its way here right now in the waning laps. Earnhardt has fresh rubber, and Dale Jarrett does not. Kyle Petty from 7 or 8, maybe thinking 10 callings back in 3rd spot. Looking through the Ames Department Store race cam through the windshield of Kyle Petty as he is watching Earnhardt and Jarrett battle out of turn 4.
Just 3 more laps to go if Jarrett can hang on. He wants to get around this car and get down on the inside, but he didn't. He cut him too close going into the turn. And Jarrett spins around. He wanted to get to the inside of the racetrack going into the turn, and he cut too close on the car number 41, and it spins him around.
Dale Jarrett and Jamie Aubie coming together in turn 1. This is the back straightaway. They're showing a car that is looped down in the backstretch.
Oh, boy.
A tough break for Dale Jarrett. A couple laps to go, and he was trying everything he could to keep his car on the bottom of the racetrack and make that advantage work. And he and Jamie Aubie coming together. Dale cutting the car down, and Aubie's car coming into contact. He spins the car. Let's take a look and show you what happened. Dale Jarrett showing the way. That's Jamie Aubie's car on the left of your screen. Jarrett cuts to the bottom of the groove. Jamie Aubie is there. The left rear quarter panel of Jarrett's car begins to spin, and he is spun around, and Earnhardt will take the lead. Let's show it from a different angle coming into turn 1.
He just simply cut down too close, too quick on him. He wanted to get to that inside groove because that's where he's been beating Earnhardt, and he thought maybe Aubie might back off a little bit, but Aubie was as low on the racetrack as he could get, and Jarrett just flipped him and sent him spinning around.
Let's take a look inside Kyle Petty's car from the in-car camera. We'll see what Kyle saw. Can you believe the misfortune that Dale Jarrett has after Daytona when Dale Jarrett came up just 3 laps short of possibly getting a win there. And the white flag is being waved now to Dale Earnhardt. We are under caution here at North Carolina Motor Speedway. The caution now being shown for the 10th time today. Dale Jarrett trying to hold off Dale Earnhardt. At Daytona, it was Dale Jarrett making a move on Earnhardt with 3 laps to go, and he ran out of fuel. What a tough break for the young driver who was trying to get this Busch Series competition a run for the money, maybe get a shot to come back in Winston Cup racing for 1991, and came up just a lap or so short here at North Carolina Motor Speedway. The white flag has flown at the Pontiac safety car in the field, and you're looking at a celebration beginning now on pit road as they are watching and waiting for the winner of the Goodwrench 200 to come by, which will be, of course, Dale Earnhardt.
Of course, all he has to do is just follow the pace car around, and the checker flag will be his as he comes off of turn 4. Earnhardt right there to take advantage of the situation as far as Jarrett cutting the car number 41 a little close going into the turn, and Dale Earnhardt will win his second Busch Grand National race of the season.
Dale Earnhardt wins the Goodwrench 200 here at the North Carolina Motor Speedway. There's Dale waving to the crowd. An outstanding job of driving by Dale Earnhardt. Let's take a look at the top 5 here in the final rundown at North Carolina Motor Speedway. Rick Moss, Tony Eury, the crew celebrating. Dale Earnhardt takes the win. Kyle Petty will come home in second spot. Kenny Wallace, Harry Gant, and Ernie Irvin round out the top 5. Fourth here at this 1 mile Sand Hills Oval. Today's Speed World coverage is brought to you by Budweiser. Beechwood Age for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud for you. By Suzuki. And by Quaker Steak. The big Q is One Tough Motor Oil. Let's go down to Dale Earnhardt. Standing by with our Sears Road Handler Winner Circle interview is our Benny Parsons.
Thank you very much, Jerry Punch. Dale Earnhardt, you told me before the race you were going in the front, and you told me the truth, didn't you?
Well, we was working hard trying to get around Jarrett. You know, we'd stopped and got right side tires, and he didn't, and I felt like that was the key to winning the race. We worked him, but, you know, I had a couple laps left, and I was going to do my best to get him on the high side in 1 and 2, and they went in there and clipped that slow car. I couldn't believe it, and I just drove up around them, and then we had to do 2 laps to go on caution, so we just drove around for the win.
But did Clifford Allison spin in front of you going down the back straightaway right after that?
I come off the corner, and he was weaving backwards, and I was, what in the heck's going on? And then he spun around. I couldn't believe it. I said, what in the heck happened to him? You know, he's just riding along, spun out.
But, you know, why were you running high for there near the end of the race? Trying to save the tires and make sure they didn't go away?
Well, I'd run low and seemed to just hold my own and gain a little. And Dale was always running low down there, and I figured, well, let me see if I can find me a high groove. I was searching for a way to get around him, and if we could just got hooked up there, I believe I could have got on the outside and got even with him. I'd have beat him.
Well, Jerry Punch, here's a guy that said his back hurt a little bit before the race. It doesn't hurt anymore.
Yeah, that's a good adjustment for it right there, I guarantee you.
The best medicine for a race car driver is a visit to victory lane. We look at the top 20 here, Ned, the top 5, and of course missing among those your young son Dale Jarrett, who had a whale of a run today.
Well, he wound up in 7th place, the last car in the lead lap. Mark Martin finishing 8th, 1 lap down. You see Jimmy Hensley coming home 10th. Bobby Labonte was 9th.
And the final 5 in the top 20, Jack Ingram back in 16th spot. Ed Ferrier, Elton Sawyer, Dave. Take a look at the top 5 in points here. Dale Earnhardt lengthens his lead. Bobby Labonte, Dale Jarrett, Kenny Wallace, and Jimmy Hensley.
So Earnhardt probably won't be at Martinsville next weekend, so Labonte and Jarrett should be able to move up.
Dale Earnhardt showing the way here, winning the Goodwrench 200 on a very jubilant crew here on pit road. Tony Eury, Rick Foss, and the crew waving to their victorious driver as he has won for the 4th time at North Carolina Motor Speedway. For Benny Parsons and Ned Jarrett, I'm Jerry Punch saying so long from North Carolina Motor Speedway.